No intro video on today's show because it's draft day. We're getting right after it. Hell's Bells was on the queue in the car ride up here, and it's time to go. So be sure to subscribe for the best draft coverage around the New Orleans Saints across the internet. We have top-tier draft coverage. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so that way you get notified when we post our videos. So we're breaking down our final draft rumors on NFL Draft Day. The Saints right now, as of now, pick at number 29 overall, and it's going to be so much fun. There's so much hype and there's so much energy going into this draft and a lot of unpredictability. Not a lot of teams know what's going on. But here at Chat Sports on our main channel, we will be live for all rounds, all picks of the NFL draft. And today, we will be live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Central. If you want to check out our live draft coverage, we'll have Super Chat giveaways, not play-by-play, but breaking down the picks before ESPN even announces them. We will have it for you squared away, so be sure to subscribe and join our live coverage at Chat Sports. All right, so for our final mock draft rumors, I'm just going to break down some of the mock drafts from Todd McShay and Mel Kiper, as well as some interesting trade ideas for the Saints that could go down on draft day. So for Mel Kiper's final mock draft, he had the Saints selecting Mazi Smith at number 29 overall. Not trading up, not moving around. You're picking Mazi Smith at 29 overall. So let's see what Mel Kiper had to say about the Michigan Wolverine. Smith is getting some first-round buzz because he's the best run stuffer in this class. At 6'3", 323 pounds, he can plug a hole. Teams don't always prefer tackles with limited pass rushing upside, but he'd fill a need in New Orleans. I moved Smith to number 30 overall on my big board. And in terms of scouting Mazi Smith, we showed you guys this graphic on yesterday's video, but let's scout him today because, it's draft day. So he is an impressive athlete, and he plays with great power for his size. Standing at 6'3", 323 pounds, the dude is massive. He has 0 career penalties, and he played a lot of snaps, and he ended the year with some of his best ball. And with 0 penalties, that's something, as a Saints fan, I was really frustrated with this past season. And playing a lot of snaps at that size is extremely impressive. Now, he did have limited production, and he doesn't always finish his pass rush. And that is, easy to see based on the stats that he had last year for the Wolverines. 48 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, half a sack, and 1 forced fumble. That's something that is concerning. That being said, he's a great run stopper, and he's one of those guys that will clog up the middle of the defensive line and be great next to Cameron Jordan and Saunders and potentially replace Nathan Shepard. But my overall take for the first round, I'm big go defensive line here. You have to prioritize the defensive line. Whether it's defensive tackle and you go in the interior or you go get the edge rusher defensive end guy, either way, you need to boost this defensive line if you want a real chance at making a run for a playoff run and potentially try to get to the Super Bowl. Cameron Jordan, he isn't getting any younger. Saunders, you brought him in in NFL free agency. He's going to be pretty solid, and he's already excited to be in New Orleans. Nathan Shepard, also brought in free agency. Carl Granderson, he's all right. He's not a bad player, but do you want him taking regular starting reps? My point being, you got to go get a defensive lineman, whether it's defensive tackle or defensive end. I really, really, really hope Mickey Loomis does that in today's draft. So predict it for me, Who Dat Nation. Who will the Saints draft at number 29 overall? This will be the pinned comment, so when you get hit with a YouTube ad break, scroll on down, share your thoughts, scroll on back up, and we'll be playing for you. All right, so in Todd McShay's final mock draft, he had the Saints going at the edge rushing position, and he had them taking Myles Murphy at number 29 overall, the beast out of Clemson. And the read on him is kind of tough because a few weeks back, even a month ago, he was getting some top 10, top 15 hype. But now there's some buzz about him potentially falling to the Saints at 29 overall. And as for what Todd McShay had to say on Myles Murphy, he said the Saints were last in pass rush win rate in 2022 at just 28.5%. They did lose Marcus Davenport in free agency. Cameron Jordan had 8.5 sacks last season, but he's turning 34 years old in July. So it's definitely time to restock the pass rush. Murphy is a big, long force off the edge who wins with great takeoff quickness. And you can see that based on the stats that he put up for the Clemson Tigers. 40 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. I think that Myles Murphy would be an intriguing player to have line up opposite of Cameron Jordan, and I think that he could be a very useful piece for the Saints defensive line, who in previous years has been one of the strongest in the NFL. So I need you to go and be Madden. Go rate Myles Murphy as a player. Give him a Madden style rating, 1 to 99. 1, he's dog water. He just ain't good. 99, he is top tier. He is the best defensive end out there that you could possibly get. I need you to tell me, comment below, and share your thoughts. Rate Myles Murphy as a player. All right, now to round things out in today's video, Dov Kleiman, he tweeted this out, a report from Dan Graziano. The Commanders could trade one of their talented pass rushers, either defensive end Chase Young or Montez Sweat, during the NFL draft. Both are pending free agents in 2024. So this was interesting because I think that the Saints could be in the position to trade for a player like Montez Sweat or Chase Young. We know that Saints like to get busy on draft day. And in Mickey Loomis's pre-draft press conference yesterday, one of the reporters said, so you have 8 picks. What do how do we plan on blah, 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 and he quickly stopped me. He goes, right now we have 8 picks. Right now we have 8 picks. And, the Saints Twitter account also tweeted out a graphic with that same quote on it. It's funny, it's interesting, and it's worth talking about a trade because if you want to go trade for a guy like Chase Young or Montez Sweat, it's going to cost some serious draft capital. Chase Young, he's an intriguing player. He's one of those guys that I think would be really, really fun to have on the Saints roster as long as he stays healthy. If you take a look at his career stats in 2020 with 15 games played, 44 tackles, 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. In 2021, he only played in 9 games, 26 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. And then this past season, just 3 games played. He had 5 tackles, no sacks, no forced fumbles. I would love Chase Young. Bringing in the Predator would be awesome. That being said, I do have concerns in terms of his health. Now, in terms of Montez Sweat, I think he is also a player that is intriguing. 45 tackles this past season, 14 tackles for a loss, 28 QB hits and 8 sacks. That is something that I am intrigued and I really, really like because there was such bad sack production for the Saints defensive line last season. I think bringing in Montez Sweat would be awesome. So I need you to let me know, Who Dat Nation. Trade for one. If you could pick one of these two, type CY for Chase Young, type MS for Montez Sweat. Now, I don't know if a trade is very likely to happen. I heard that the trade comp for a Chase Young is like 2 first-round picks right now. So obviously, I don't think that it necessarily will happen, but it could happen, and that's why we're talking about it. So I need you guys to let me know. Type CY for Chase Young, type MS for Montez Sweat. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, and turn on your notifications because this is going to be the best spot to get all of your Saints draft coverage over the next few days, including the UDFA coverage on Sunday. So be sure to subscribe, lock us in, and y'all stay golden. Have a fun draft weekend.